All right, welcome back, everyone. Today, we are diving into something really special. It's a powerhouse of a book from Napoleon Hill, but one you might not have heard of. It's called How to Own Your Own Mind. And look, this isn't just another think positive book. No, this is about getting strategic, about actually controlling your thoughts so you can go after the life you want. So, let's get right into it.
So let me just start with a question for you. Does your mind ever feel like it's working against you? Like it's your biggest enemy? I mean, we're told all the time, right? Just think positive. But let's be real, when things are tough, hearing that is kind of annoying. The truth is, a lot of the time, the biggest thing holding us back is our own brain.
And that, right there, is the problem Napoleon Hill nails down. You have these goals, these big desires, but you keep hitting a wall. And it creates this awful cycle, doesn't it? Fear, then failure, then more fear. And it all comes down to one thing. Our minds are basically running wild.
But here's the good news. Hill doesn't just leave us there. He doesn't give us some vague philosophy. No, he gives us a manual, a literal, step-by-step guide to turn your mind from your biggest enemy into your most powerful ally. And it's all built around this fantastic three-key strategy. All right, so key number one. This is something the legendary industrialist Andrew Carnegie was an absolute master of: creative vision. This is the starting line. This is where you begin to take back control by learning to see what doesn't exist yet.
Okay, so what is creative vision really? Well, what I love about Hill's definition is how practical it is. This isn't some fluffy concept just for painters and poets. No way. It's a skill. It's the ability to spot an opportunity, and this is the most important part, to actually do something about it. And what's the engine behind all of this? Your imagination.
Now, Hill breaks imagination down into two flavors. First, you've got synthetic imagination. This is all about taking old ideas, old concepts, and just rearranging them into something new. The perfect example is Thomas Edison. Look, the idea of an electric lamp wasn't new. The problem was they burned out super fast. Edison's genius was taking those existing ideas and combining them with another old idea, using charcoal for the filament to create a light bulb that could actually last. Then you've got creative imagination. This is the wild stuff. This is when a brand new idea just seems to pop into your head out of the blue. It's that hunch, that flash of genius, kind of like when a musician hears a whole new song in their head.
So this all sounds great, but how do you actually, do it? How do you get your imagination fired up? Well, Hill gives us 5 principles to work with. It all starts with having a definiteness of purpose. That means knowing exactly what you're aiming for. Then you add fuel to the fire by working with a mastermind group, always going that extra mile, having applied faith in what you're doing, and of course, being organized about it. Okay, that brings us to the second key, and you'll see how these all lock together. It's called organized thought. I love this analogy. If creative vision is like spotting the target way off in the distance, organized thought is like sharpening the focus on your camera lens so you can get a crystal clear picture of it. And the core of organized thought is this, and this is huge. You have to learn to separate fact from opinion. Hill doesn't mince words here. He says flat out that opinions can be dangerous. Why? Because most of the time, they're not based on anything solid. They're just biased feelings with no real facts or information behind them. So he gives us 3 simple rules to live by. Rule 1, only trust opinions if they're actually based on facts. Rule 2, question all advice. Yeah, even from your friends and family. And rule 3, always double-check where you're getting your information from. It's like my friend Brandon. He reads news from all over the political spectrum. He's not trying to find an opinion he agrees with. He's digging for the actual facts so he can form his own informed opinion. That, right there, is organized thought in action. And this brings us right back to that camera metaphor because it's just so perfect. Think about it. If your mental camera is out of focus, what does it capture? Just a blurry mess of everything, all the junk, the propaganda, the gossip, the noise. But a mind that's organized, it knows exactly what to focus on, and just as importantly, what to leave out of the shot. So what's the tool that keeps that camera locked in and focused? Hill calls it controlled habits. And let's be clear, this isn't about wishful thinking. It is an active process. It takes real willpower and conscious effort over and over again to keep your thoughts and your actions pointed directly at your goals. You've probably heard this one before. It's a perfect example. It's from the psychologist Émile Coué. Day by day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Now that might sound almost too simple, right? But what was happening? By repeating that phrase, people were literally building a new thought habit. They were using repetition to train their brains to focus on one thing: getting better
And that leads us perfectly into our third and final key. And honestly, this might just be the most powerful one of them all. It's called controlled attention. This is where you take that creative vision, you take those organized thoughts, and you focus them with such intensity that they become an unstoppable force.
Hill actually had a pretty awesome name for this. He called it mental dynamite. I mean, how cool is that? And it's because when you learn to focus all your mental energy with that kind of controlled attention, you can just blast through self-doubt, fear, pretty much any obstacle that gets in your way. So how do you light the fuse on this mental dynamite? Hill breaks it down into 5 factors. Let's walk through it with a quick story about a guy named Harold who's desperate for rent money. Okay, step 1, definiteness of purpose. Harold knows exactly what he wants, the rent money. Step 2, self-discipline. He has to shut down that inner voice of fear and doubt. Step 3, controlled attention. He focuses all his time and concentration on this one single goal. Step 4, autosuggestion. This is where he starts feeding his own mind ideas, brainstorming. He's thinking, okay, I could fix things for neighbors, maybe I could tutor. He's actively looking for solutions. And finally, step 5, power of will. He just keeps going, even when he gets rejected. He persists no matter what.
Okay, so we've got our 3 keys. Let's pull them all together now into one single master principle. This is the secret weapon that was used by, you guessed it, one of the most successful people who ever lived, Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie's secret? It was one word: specialization. He took every single one of his mental tools, his creative vision, his organized thought, his controlled attention, and he focused them like a laser beam on one thing and one thing only: making and selling steel. That was it. He didn't mess around with other stuff. He wasn't distracted. He became the absolute best in one field.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. That sounds great, but what if I pick the wrong thing to specialize in? That's a huge fear for a lot of us, right? Well, Hill has a brilliant answer for this. He says any time you spend genuinely pursuing something is never a waste. But you know what is a waste of time? Not doing the thing you've always, deep down, wanted to do. It is so much better to start down a path and have to change course later than to just stay stuck, never starting at all. And so, this whole strategy, this whole idea of owning your mind, it all boils down to one final, massive question that Hill wants you to ask yourself. What is the real purpose of your existence? Because once you know the answer to that, once you truly know it, everything else, your mind, your body, your spirit, it all snaps into focus, ready to make it happen.